On Netflix, I watched from 1995, Heat, directed by Michael Mann, starring Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and a cast that runs about 20 deep. I mean, this has names until you just can't even remember them all. So, anyways, this is actually a remake of a made-for-TV movie that played on NBC in like '89 called LA Takedown. My understanding of it is that Michael Mann directed it. I don't know why. He was doing theatrical films, decided, hey, it just maybe couldn't get the funding for theatrical release for this. I don't know. He didn't quite, from my understanding of it, didn't really get an all-star cast together. But there is a guy, Xander Berkeley, who appears in this that had a bigger role in LA Takedown. Anyways, Heat got pretty wide acclaim, I felt like, at the time. To my surprise, it didn't have any Oscar nominations, so I looked this up, but it's a pretty good movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Now we're going to get into spoilers and all that shit. So, Robert De Niro really overacts his ass off. He's this, I'm just calling him Robert De Niro, says things of like Ashley Judd, she has a great ass. I didn't realize that's where this is from. You see, I've seen bits and pieces of this, and probably the end of the film when it played on like network television in like the late 90s, but I hadn't seen the whole film all the way through. It's fairly long, 2 hours, I think 45 minutes you're looking at here, and it tells a pretty complex story. We get into a lot of character development for everybody, as we have Robert De Niro leads this crew of which, much of Grand Theft Auto 5 has probably been inspired by. He's got this crew of guys who knock off an armored car. They have this new guy aboard, and he goes nuts and just kills some guys for no reason. Just boom, hey, I got to kill some people today. Well, Al Pacino shows up. He's a lieutenant, but he's investigating this homicide bank robbery thing. That's quite the extensive team on hand, including Wes Studi, who I believe is here because he was also in a Michael Mann film, The Last of the Mohicans, of which he was awesome. So, yeah, I was kind of surprised to see Wes Studi. But anyways, Pacino pieces together that these guys have been working other stuff. There was overhearing of a guy saying Slick was the name of someone. He pieces all this stuff together and starts to try to come down on Robert De Niro. But Robert De Niro understands that they're after him, and this guy Waingro, who's basically Trevor from GTA 5, the guy who went loose and started killing people, Robert De Niro's going to take care of business and whack him in this cafe parking lot, but he got away, and now he's causing trouble for them. Raises some issues with these bearer bonds they stole. They're going to sell back to the guy that they stole them from. Have a situation where both of them make some money. But that guy's a psycho, William Fichtner. Really the first role I've seen him in. And he has his men try to take out Robert De Niro, because he's like, I don't need word on the street being that it's okay to steal from me. I guess that kind of makes sense in a tough guy way. But anyways, they have a shootout at like a drive-in and stuff. A lot of stuff's not going so good. Al Pacino has a wife and an adopted daughter. Well, her daughter from a previous marriage. That's the way people get around in the 90s. Everybody has to play a saved game, right? So he's doing this, and it's Natalie Portman. And I didn't really see a big reason for her to be there, other than at the end, emotional reasons, tries to commit suicide, fails. Didn't just slice her wrist, sliced a leg too, but didn't look like anything was very deep. There wasn't like much of a makeup application on this. But anyways, that's really her purpose here. And it's just kind of showing how Pacino's commitment to the job and how scary this is having an effect on family. Home. He's never home. They're just side quests for him. I don't remember what she said exactly, but something like that, right? So we have this sort of thing going down. Al Pacino falls in love with Amy Brenneman, judging Amy from TV, right? First real role I think I've seen her in films here. Has another guy, On his team, Val Kilmer, he's into Ashley Judd. She seems to be fooling around behind his back with Apu from The Simpsons. Might take you a minute to piece that together. Hank Azaria, there you go, spoilers. In case you guys couldn't get the reference. Oh man, cut my fingernails up bad, now they're sticking to everything. You ever do that? You like peel a fingernail off and then it becomes like a serrated edge. So anyways, yeah, there's a whole bunch of personal drama getting tied up here. I didn't realize that President Palmer from 24 was in this. He's the guy who gets put in to be like a last second driver, because Danny Trejo, I didn't realize, was in this. Says there's too much heat on him. Well, this guy Waingro, he's taking out prostitutes. He's got this thing going. He's got a lot going on. So he's a murderer of prostitutes, and he's tied up in all of these armed robberies. Like, it's kind of convenient. The guy's just a psychopath, huh? He's ratting out the crew to William Fichtner, but Al Pacino needs to get even with him anyways. But Al Pacino manages to take him out. Or sorry, not Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Takes out William Fichtner. But really, he's looking for this guy Waingro because he caused everything to go bad. They had this big heist, and it's mentioned that this was like used as inspiration in a shooting. I think it was in Los Angeles as well, where guys were robbing a bank and were just loaded up with armor, shooting cops, and it was a bad mess. But I kind of felt like this was a bad element in the movie because it didn't really make sense, the big shootout they had. So they just robbed the bank, they've got the guns, they're walking back to their cars, and they see like Wes Studi with an assault rifle, and Val Kilmer starts shooting at him. And it's like, okay, I kind of understand that, but then the cops have a shootout with them. Now they're trading fire and there's civilians everywhere. They talked about closing off a block, but there's cars all over the place. There's way too many civilians caught up in this. Police just let these kind of things go. Maybe high-speed pursuit. Lock down the highway, put up some spike strips. That's kind of the cop move, isn't it? It's not, hey, let's go at this like it's Mogadishu. I found that to be unlikely. I don't think anything like that's ever happened in the US, where they have like a war in the middle of the streets. And I mean, these guys are bank robbers. They weren't looking for jihad. So as silly as that was, there was a lot of good action there. And it's amazing because like everybody is a name. There's this girl that gets picked up, uses like a human shield by Tom Sizemore. And it's Yvonne Zimmer, who now has an awesome rack. Oh, sorry, Zima. Yeah. Look her up. Anyways, yeah, just everybody's a name, dude. You don't really see this in movies anymore unless it's like movie 43, is it? And where it's done as a joke. But I do feel like Al Pacino oversold much of his performance. If he's holding a scene down on his own, he's chewing the scenery. He's like, oh hey, I've got to yell. I got to stare off blank. I got to not look at people when I'm talking to them. And then pause. Robert De Niro does a much better job, and they have a scene together where they're like, hey, now we've met face to face. I gotta catch you in the act. I'm not gonna like putting you down. Robert De Niro's like, you know, there's another side of that coin. I'm gonna have to put you down. So I'll tell you what, I'm not going back to prison. Is prison really that bad that we always have this I'm not going back thing? Like, that's just kind of used as this trope. I'm not going back. You can't take me alive, coppa. Right? That's really what it is. So, with this all in mind, Al Pacino has got the money. They managed to get away, lost some guys in the process, so hey, bigger cut for him, right? I found it a little refreshing that like half his crew died, but half escaped. Val Kilmer was able to get away, that's a B. Shit. Yeah, Val Kilmer was able to get away, but he lost to Ashley Judd. And I'll tell you what, 90s Ashley Judd is a major loss. So, yeah. Tom Sizemore got killed. Danny Trejo gets killed by Waingro. Robert De Niro can get away with judging Amy, but at the last minute, John Voight's like, oh hey, by the way, that Waingro, he's holed up in a hotel. I don't understand, was he like an informant for the police? Or the police are keeping tabs on? Why is he saying he can't leave the hotel? I didn't understand it. If the police were putting him in a safe house and it was this hotel room, why didn't they escort him out when the fire alarm went? I didn't really understand what was going on there. Why? How did he know he didn't need to leave the hotel or something? But Robert De Niro pulled this fire alarm, shoots Waingro up. He thinks he's going to get away, but Al Pacino spots him. They flee off into like a small airport, I think. Well, maybe it's not small. Maybe it could have been LAX. Have a shootout, shotgun versus pistol. Lights are lighting up on the runway. That gives away up to Al Pacino, Robert De Niro's shadow. Shoots him. He's like, I told you I wasn't going back. And then they shake hands and kiss. I'm just kidding about the kissing part, but that would have been that would have been like Oscar automatic today, right? And that's the end of the movie. I like the score to this. Of course, being a Michael Mann film, it does look similar, and it even in some ways sounds similar to Manhunter. I think Manhunter is playing on Hulu, sometimes on Netflix. I may have to review that on here. I don't believe I've done Manhunter yet, but it's the original first Hannibal Lecter movie that a lot of people don't seem to know exists. But yeah, this was a stylish cop drama, taking itself seriously with action. Pretty damn violent, brutal. I felt like there's some realistic consequences and things. Al Pacino just played it up a little too much for my liking. And in some ways, they kind of tried to place spectacle of the action over realism with that big shootout. But overall, Heat's pretty damn good. I'll give it 3.5 out of 4 stars. I can feel the heat because it is like 95 out here.